Hi, welcome back to Sugarfolk Homemade, my podcast where I talk about all the things that I have been crafting, usually knitting. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Michaela. I'm coming to you from a very hot day in Western North Carolina, where I live with my husband and our 4 kids. And if you are returning, welcome back. I intended to plan earlier on in the day, but it has just been so hot, and filming outside is really my only option at the moment, just because of kids. So we're dealing with golden hour right now. The sun is literally right in front of my face, and yeah, I hope that it does okay. I look a bit greasy, but that's okay. So I've got something ice cold to sip on. This is just some sparkling water. And I've been knitting like a mad woman. I'm a little bit embarrassed about how much I have been knitting. But this is our last week of summer break before school starts next week. Homeschooling. So I have been taking advantage of every second that I can of free time. So yeah, I will not be knitting this much when school starts, I'm sure, but I don't know, we'll see. I'm feeling very, very inspired for fall. So I'm going to show you 2 finished objects, a few new cast-ons, and I have a few future projects for fall that I am just dying to cast on. So my hope is to do that soon, but I'm going to talk about all of that. So grab something to sip on. This could be a long one. Okay, first up are finished objects, and I actually have them behind me. The first one I'll show are my Midsummer Blossom socks. I have a piece of fuzz on my lip. The Midsummer Blossoms socks. This is a pattern by This Handmade Life, and this yarn was a gift from a subscriber. Thank you if you're watching. This was Nora George yarns in the color, is a sock set named Jane Eyre, and I cast these on in spring because they were the perfect spring colors, and then it took me until the end of summer. But they are beautiful, beautiful lace detail. I did a 64 stitch cast on 2.5mm needles, and then when I decreased, I went down to 60 stitches just because I knew this was going to open up quite a bit during blocking, and I wanted to make sure that it fit snug on my foot. In the future, when I do ankle socks, I think that I might do less stitches cast on, just because, or at least do a few rows after the ribbing before going into the heel, because it sits so low on my foot that it wants to slide down, and it doesn't just like fall off, but it would feel more comfortable if the cuff was a bit snugger or just a little tiny bit taller. So for next time I will know to do that. So these are complete. My next finished object is this beauty that's hanging up here. You can't see it, but let me get it down. My freesia cardigan. Oh my gosh, I love this thing so much. I'm not gonna put it on because it's sweltering out here, but I do have some pictures that I will put maybe over here, so you can see how the fit is. And let me just show you all the details now that it's blocked, because blocking did the most for this sweater. So the raglan has this beautiful mock cable detail, and then all down the front you have all these baubles and just beautiful, beautiful texture. That raglan mock cable goes all the way down the sides. I mean, oh, it's so pretty. So I knit the size 3 on recommended needles, and this was knit in the Sheepius terrazzo yarn in the color Sassolino. And while this yarn was not my favorite to work with, the end result is a dream, so I would definitely use it again, and especially this color. I love tweedy yarns. It's just beautiful. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this button band, because I made mine a bit longer than the pattern recommended, I think, because I wanted it to hit a little bit past my hips. I'm so sorry for the sun's blaring on my face. This button band, picking up all these stitches all the way around back down, oh my gosh. It was really testing whether or not I wanted this cardigan, because that was just a lot of stitches to pick up, and ribbing, I'm not a fan of ribbing. I tolerate it a lot better than I used to, but I don't know, it's just not as fluid. So I did do buttonholes. I kind of teetered back and forth if I wanted buttons on it or not, but I decided I might as well make the buttonholes so they're there, because I can't go back, or I could, but I don't want to go back and put buttonholes. But if they're there and I decide not to do buttons, it's not a big deal, or I can just put buttons on and not use them. So I did do buttonholes. I did 5, I believe. And I bought some buttons, but they're just not really, they're not what I want. I got them at Walmart because that's the only place to get them around here. So I need to go to like Hobby Lobby or something with a better selection. And I will probably never actually button it, but I feel like it would look complete, since it has buttonholes at this point, to have buttons. But overall, I am very, very happy with this project. Also, when I first started this, I mentioned that I was afraid it wasn't going to look great on my skin tone. And you know what? I've just decided, in general, I don't care about that. You know, like, do I think some colors flatter people more than other colors? Yes, absolutely. Everybody has those colors. But I would never think that a certain color looks ugly on someone. Does that make sense? Like, you can pull off any color if you just wear it. So, is this the most flattering color on me? Probably not. But it's a beautiful color and I like it, so I'm gonna wear it. And that's just the way it is. Yeah. And also, it does look a little better right now because I have a bit of a tan. But even pale version of me, I feel like it'll be just fine. And I only say that about the like skin tone flattering colors thing because I know a lot of people will stray away from knitting with certain colors because they're afraid that it won't flatter them. And that's totally fine. Like, I wish that I had, I don't know, it'd be nice to have the discipline to make things that are absolutely flattering. But I just love colors, whether they match me or not. And I can't help but knit with color. Like, I always tell myself, I need more neutral knits. I need more browns, and I need more whites and like neutrals. But then I go to pick out yarn and I see all the colors and I can't stop myself. And I guess that's just my personality. So anyways, that was kind of a tangent. Okay, so those are my only 2 finished objects. Now, where to start? I'll show you my whips next, which I think there's only 2 that have progress, of course. If you remember last time I showed my rose cardigan, that's kind of in hibernation until fall is over because it's a bit more colorful, and my brain is in fall mode right now. But I will go back to that, as well as a few other things that are in hibernation. But first, I will show you my Autumn League pullover. And this is another one that I said last episode, I don't think this color is going to look good on me. But I changed my mind. Now that I have a lot of it knit up and I've tried it on, I feel like it's fine. So this is one that I'm kind of embarrassed how quick I've knit it, because it has flown by. Last episode, I think I had like 10 rows complete, and I now have finished the body besides the collar, and I'm working on the sleeve. I just picked this sleeve up today, and that's probably like 30 minutes worth of time of knitting, so I am pretty confident that I can knock this sweater out by the end of the month, which is my goal for this. Feel free to hold me to that, because I need discipline. So yeah, I'm actually really liking this color, and I just think it's gonna be a nice staple for fall. I have these like black checkered, they're like a black and kind of this color checkered pant that are very fall-y with like some boots, and I just think this is gonna look so cute over it. It's very casual, but I think it's gonna look great. And I'm making the size 2. You can see where I've started new skeins. I'll have to weave in the ends back there and kind of close up those little holes. This yarn is Gazimo. I got it at a thrift store. I have found it on Amazon, and it is very soft and it is very easy to knit with because it just like slides right off the needle, but it does split pretty bad. And I've split a couple stitches and then had to go back and fix them because it's very noticeable, partly due to the color, but also it pills very bad. Like I've already got a couple pills on it. But you know what? I've said before, I don't mind a sweater that pills, especially in something like this that's just such a casual, like throw-on sweater, because it just makes it look worn and cozy. Does that make sense? I guess I don't go out much. Like I hardly ever leave my house. So little things that would like matter to the public eye, I just don't care, because I don't have to care. I'm not out in public hardly ever. So yeah, anyways, I don't mind pilling, and I did cut a couple of them off just because they were like right in the center. But as it just pills with natural wear, I'll probably just let it do its thing. So I am playing yarn chicken with this, actually. I had 10 balls of this yarn, and they were 50 grams each. And according to the pattern, I had just the right amount of yardage. Now, this is my 6th ball, I believe, so it took me 5 for the body. So if I can get by with 2.5 for each arm, or 2 for each arm, and maybe like the last ball for the collar, because it is a, I think it's a double, excuse me, get the hiccups. It is, I think, a double, you knit twice the length and then fold it over kind of neck. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like. So I am hoping that I don't run out. If I do, like I said, I did find the yarn on Amazon, but it's kind of hard to tell the colors, and there was no color name on the tags on the balls of yarn. So I would have to just kind of guess, and then if it didn't match, I could always just dye over it. But yeah, this was a very spontaneous cast on, and the more I work on it, the more I love it. At first I was just kind of knitting it because I had the yarn and I needed to knit something with it. But now I'm really enjoying it, and I think I'm going to really love the end result. And I am using recommended needles, and I think I said this, I'm knitting the size 2. So yeah, that's my Autumn League pullover. Now, let me put this back in the bag. This is being held in my crazy kitty bag. I don't know who made this. This was a gift at Christmas time last year from a subscriber. And it may not even be like handmade. It might be from the store. Who knows? I think it's fun. The next whip I have to show you is my Pebble shawlette. Now this, when I first started this, I thought this was going to be for me, but I have already decided probably about a month ago that I really wanted to make some shawls for these two ladies at my church. They're best friends. They are the sweetest people on the planet, I swear. And they're just so kind to me, and they are lights in my life. And I'm not a huge gift knitter, but knitting something for them is like a pleasure, you know? So I was originally starting this for myself, but then I had asked one of them what color she liked to wear close to her face without giving away that it was a shawl, that's probably kind of obvious, but anyways, she said something very fall-y and with like browns. So I already had this going, and I thought, you know what, let me just send her a picture of the color and she can tell me if she likes it, and she did. So this is going to be hers, and this is being held in another cat bag. And let's see, I'm not going to be able to stretch it out to its full length because it's on a short needle. Speaking of needles, I asked last episode how to straighten out these awful needles, and everybody was like, put it in hot water. So that's what I did, and it helped a lot. Also, just having the weight of the shawl on it helps a lot too. So I have a lot more done than last time. I aim to do 2 rows on this a day. It's actually quite big at this point, but I just can't stretch it out. So you've got stockinette on the sides, and then in the center there are like these knots that go in a V. Can you see that? Oh, it's so pretty. Yeah. I think this is gonna look really nice. And I can't wait to give it to her. They were originally going to be Christmas gifts, but since this is fall colors, I think I'm just going to have to give it to her as soon as I finish it, and I'll just tell her it's an early Christmas gift. But I also want to give them, both of them at the same time, and I haven't started the other ladies, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go. We'll see. I mean, like, peak fall time here is in like mid-October, so I might be able to finish, I know I'll finish this one by then, and possibly her friends. We'll see how I do. My next whip is my Pressed Flowers cardigan. Now, I have not been knitting on this a ton, but I did pick it up last night and I knit quite a bit on it. Where is my other needle? This always makes me so nervous because I am not good at picking up drop stitches if they fall down the ladder. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm a crocheter, or I was a crocheter before a knitter, so it doesn't make sense. But anyways, no stitches fell off, so that's good. I have a marker on here, but I don't think that it's from the last time I showed you guys this. I think it might be from like 2 episodes ago, right there. But you can definitely see the colors are starting to change, and it's starting to look cohesive, and it is just beautiful. That's all there is to say about it. It's just beautiful, and it feels so lovely. And I really love these yarns, working with these yarns. This is the recommended needles. I'm making the smallest size. Let's see. Does anybody else just keep so much junk in the project bags? Like, some of this is from like 2 projects ago that I had in this bag. Okay, this is The green is Barocco Lana's Light. Is that true? Is that what this is? That might be from a different project. No, that's the green. And the changing is Spin Cycle, dyed in the wool. And Pick Your Poison. This was a kit. I've talked about this before, that a subscriber friend of mine sent me, and which just blew me away, because Spin Cycle is one of those yarns that I just can't justify with our budget, but I've always wanted to try. So this is like a dream project, and I kind of feel like that's part of the reason that I am taking so long to knit it, because I'm like, I don't want it to end. Does that make sense? Like, I really want the finished product, but at the same time, I understand what a blessing it is to have this yarn, and I don't know, it just, I really enjoy working on it. So, yeah, there's not a lot done on that, but I am working on it here and there. Now, this is where I feel like I've gone a little crazy. Obviously, I have 2 sweaters to finish, a shawl to finish. I have a pair of socks that have been languishing forever that I need to finish. But I bought more yarn. So, last episode I talked about how I wanted to knit the Alpine Bloom by Caitlin Hunter, and I had in my head that I wanted the pink with like the purple flowers. So I got on Wool Warehouse, I placed me a big order to get, like, to make it worth paying for the extra shipping, because I'm so terrified that if I don't, it's gonna get lost and then I'm just out of luck. So I placed a big order, got the yarn. As soon as I opened the package, I said, oh no, this is not the pink that I was going for. I was going for, like, I don't even know, a very, very pale pink. And what I got was bubblegum pink. It's a beautiful color, but it is just bubblegum. And, like, I don't even know if you're getting the accurate representation of this, but I just knew, well, first I was like, oh, whatever, I'm fine, I wear lots of colors, I'll just make it, it'll be fine, it's gonna have the purple flowers throughout, it'll be just fine. But then I got to thinking about it, and I said, you know what, if I'm gonna knit a colorwork sweater out of fingering weight yarn, it's gonna be something that I love. So I tossed these in my stash. I got 3 skeins. And then I remembered, wait a second, I have pink mohair, but like a darker pink. And I thought, you know what? I could make a fun ranunculus. And the dark mohair would darken this up a little bit. The mohair actually changes color between pink and like a silver and a yellow. Hi, birdie. So that's exactly what I did. I cast on a ranunculus with this and mohair. This is Cascade Heritage in the color Chanterelles, which kind of caught me off guard because I'm pretty sure chanterelles are a mushroom. They actually grow in our area, and I've had some before. They're delicious. They're not pink though, so I don't know if there is something else called a chanterelle that is pink. But anyways, it pairs perfectly . There's a creepy van coming up our driveway. Okay, they turned. Okay, anyways. The mohair has saved the day with this. So let me show you what the mohair looks like. Oh, it's so soft. So you can see it really changes colors in there. So I started a ranunculus, and this is another one. I've just flown through it. And this just reminds me of a beautiful sunset. Oh, it's so pretty. And of course you can't see the halo from the mohair on camera, but it is just, oh my gosh, it feels like a teddy bear. Maybe you can see the fuzz. But is that not crazy that that mohair, even though it's like significantly thinner than the yarn, it takes this pink and makes it into this beautiful variation of color. This is the size 2 in the ranunculus, but I did go down a needle size because I wanted it to be a bit denser than my last one. So, and it's just fingering weight with mohair, so I didn't want it to be see-through. So I'm using a 9 for the body and 8 for the ribbing. So I knit the size 2 because that's what I knit last time, but I did have to do a few extra raglan repeats or yoke repeats. Or is it yoke or raglan? I think it starts off with yoke, but then there's some raglan increases. So I did a couple extra there just to lengthen the yoke a little bit so it wouldn't be so tight under my armpits. And I am on the ribbing now. I just did 1 row of ribbing. And I'll probably do an inch or 2 of ribbing and then do the sleeves. And I do want to do this one long sleeves if I have enough yarn. I know I'll have enough of the pink, but the mohair is what I'm thinking I might be a little short on, so we'll see how that goes. I may have to do 3/4 sleeves, but that's fine. So as you can see in the yoke, the color changes pretty sporadically because the circumference of the yoke is changing consistently. But once I got down, after I split for sleeves and I got down into the body, I think I was maybe here where I noticed it was starting to pull up to have, like, it just so happened that the circumference of my body on this was the same length as the start and end of one section of the mohair. So every time I come back around, it would be right back where it started instead of splitting up, which I was like, well, of course, like, it couldn't just be easy. It couldn't just meet in the middle of the repeat. So I did start alternating skeins here, and I did it very sporadically. Just whenever I noticed that a spot was getting too much of one color, I would bring a second ball in and pick which color I was going to start with. And it's not perfect by any means. Like, I've never even alternated skeins before. But I think it looks good enough that it's not just like all pulling up. And yeah. And on here it looks a bit more stark, but in person the halo and the fuzz of the whole thing just really draws your eye away from the pulling even more. So I'm happy with it. And I'm hoping that I won't have to alternate skeins on the sleeves because it is a smaller circumference, so, and it will be changing continuously as long as or depending on how many decreases I do. So my hope is that it works out. I don't have to alternate skeins because it's not fun to do, especially with when you're holding 2 strands and you're just switching out 1 strand. Like, the inside of this, there's so many strings of mohair that are just hanging out, and they get caught up on stuff, and it's kind of frustrating. What are you doing? Are you coming to tell me good night? Okay. Good night. I love you. Sleep tight. That's my oldest. He got to stay up a little bit late tonight, so he had to come out and give me a kiss before he goes to bed. Yeah, that's my ranunculus. She should be finished the next time I talk to you guys. I'm going to hold myself to that goal as well. I've got big plans. Like, I'm just dying to get these sweaters off the needles because I have so many things that I have to start. Or I might go crazy. Just sitting out here is making my nose kind of stuffy. I was talking to my husband about how sporadic and like always casting on something new is almost like therapy for me in a way. So if you know me in real life, you probably know this already. But growing up, my parents were split, and I would have a week with one parent, a week with my other parent, and we'd go back and forth. Okay, the crickets are getting really loud. They're the cicadas. And my dad's, the time I spent at my dad's, we always had the same house. But with my mom, we moved a lot. No fault of hers, it just was life. Just circumstances that would happen, and we moved a lot. So I was consistently moving around here, there, and I never had a problem with it. I grew to love the change, and I don't know, it was just, I didn't mind it at all. But then, as an adult, when I got married and we bought our house, I have this, like, I don't know, now that I've been in one place for so long, I literally cannot think about leaving. Like the other day, I'm going way off on a tangent here. The other day, I was on my way home from the gym, and on the radio they were talking about the $1 billion jackpot or something, and that they had to redraw because nobody won. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't gamble, but I'm gonna buy a ticket just because what if? And so I like went online to try and buy a ticket, and my phone just would not load the page. And so I was like, whatever, that's a sign from God. I don't need to buy a lottery ticket. And then I just got to thinking, well, like, what would I even do with that money? And I thought about, like, I could buy my dream house or build my dream house, and I just couldn't even entertain the thought because this is my home. Like, I've been here for so long, I've made it so mine that I just can't even think about leaving. And it's just that stability that I didn't always have in my childhood, but now I have it here, and I never really think about it, but I'm sure that's why I feel that way about this house, because this is by no means a nice house or like anything that would ever be anyone's dream house. But to me it is, and I don't know, just having that stability that is my dream. But there is that part of me that craves change, and that's why I dye my hair all the time, I cut my hair all the time, I rearrange our house all the time. I need little aspects of things changing, like, kind of all the time. And so I think that is why knitting is so therapeutic for me, because there's always something new. And I don't know, it's just, and I am in full control of it. So if I want to cast on a new pair of socks on a whim, I'm going to cast them on. If I want to knit another ranunculus, here we go, I'm knitting another ranunculus. I am in full control of my knitting, and nobody besides money can tell me what I can and can't knit. And there's just a freedom in that, and that's where I get my constant change from. Oh, and I would say that I have changed my appearance less since I started knitting, because I used to I mean, I used to change everything. I would change my whole style like every 3 months, I feel like. Anyways, that was kind of like a little identity crisis tangent there. I'm fine, by the way. But yeah, knitting is therapy for me, and I know it is that way for a lot of people. Not only for the reasons that I stated, but also it's just therapeutic to, like, I don't know, it's just therapeutic. Anyways, back to the Alpine Bloom. So, I found what to do with the pink yarn, but then I said, well, I still need a yarn to make the Alpine Bloom because I really want to make it. So, I went back to the Cascade Heritage colors, and I said, okay, this time I'm going to look for a neutral. And I went on Ravelry, and I looked at projects of these yarns and put them next to the Zauber ball that I got, and I was just really trying to focus on what color do I want. And so I ended up ordering Cascade Heritage Limestone, and it came in the mail. I opened it up, and it looked silver. And at first I was like, no, why? And I knew I couldn't order again because at this point, like, I was going way over my knitting budget. But after knitting it up, I can say that it is beautiful. So, I've got the Cascade Limestone, and then we've got the Zauberball in Privy Council, I think is the color. I hope the lighting is okay. It's getting dark, but I do have some like string lights on above me. Yeah. And oh, I'm so excited about this. I'm not great at color work. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there, but I am feeling a little bit proud of myself on this one because so far it seems to be working. And I know I said I was going to do a gauge swatch for this, but here's the problem. It's knit in the round, and doing a small gauge swatch in the round is not accurate because I knit tighter in a small circumference than I do in a big circumference. So I said, you know what? I'm going to knit a few rows, just stockinette, and I'm going to count what I have, and then we're just going to go with it. So that's what I did. I'm knitting this size 2. It's the second size in the pattern. I think it's maybe called a small. And I'm using recommended needles, except for I went up to a 5 from a 4. Up to a 5 for the color work. So that I didn't have to pay as much attention to keeping it loose. I could just knit how I knit. And so far it seems to be working. Okay, so let me just be quiet and show you what it looks like. Okay, so you have this beautiful neckline, and then we're going straight into the flowers. And this really worked out perfect with my Zauberball. The flowers are purple, and then the leaves started green and brown. So this is the back. It's a bit longer with the short bows. Now let me show you without like stretching it out. You can kind of, or maybe you can't tell so bad. It does kind of want to bunch together through here, but I think that's just because of the nature of the collar, the neckline, and you really can't even see it on camera. It's hard to tell. I wouldn't even call it a puckering. It's just, I don't know, you can see my German short bows or my make ones or something. You can see something there. But when I stretch it out, it all flattens out, and there's not like a line of tightness where the color work starts, so I think it's okay. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, I can't wait. This is going to be a long project, if I can go ahead and tell you that, because I know I might fly through the color work, because color work is interesting, and every row is different, but then I know when I get to the stockinette and the sleeves, because I hope to make this long sleeves, it's gonna drag, but she'll be done eventually. And oh, can see my floats in there. Yeah, so I'm really happy with this limestone color. In the hank, like when it's twisted up in the hank of yarn, the skein, it looked very silver, and it looked, I don't know, it just didn't look great. But just winding it into a ball, I could already tell the difference. And then when you get it compared, like when you actually knit it up, it looks more like what I was envisioning. Almost like a beigey gray. Very neutral. So, or almost just like a super muted white or like a gray. I don't know. It's perfect. I couldn't be more happy with that. So I get my neutral. Like, this is overall going to be a pretty neutral sweater for me, but I still will have that like color in the color work. Okay, I gotta wrap it up. It is getting dark out here. Okay, so I have 2 plans for fall, and both of these plans I really want to have cast on September 1st. I don't have any cords left though, so that means, well, I have one cord for the socks that I'm going to talk about, but I have to finish one of these sweaters so that I can start this next sweater. So first, since I cast off a pair of socks, I must cast on a new pair. Oh, which I already did, by the way. I almost forgot about these. I cast on with these DPNs, which I love DPNs. I like them. I thought I would hate them, but I like them. This is just some sock yarn I had in my stash that I paired with a Regia 4-ply. I don't remember the color, but I decided to make a Hermione's Everyday sock. Let's see if you can see the texture there. And I did a 60 stitch cast on. These are 2.5 millimeters. So these are just like random socks to just have going. I really just cast them on because I had the yarn and I had the needles. So I'm not just gonna let them sit there and not be used. But on my regular sock needles, my circulars, since I just finished those other socks, I want to start a pair of fall socks. Now, all the socks that I've ever made are colored or variegated or striped or something, and I want a pair of solid socks for fall. I have these, I have some Doc Marten boots, and I have some clog boots that show the tips of my socks, and I would just love to have a nice pair of orange socks to stick up out of those boots. So this is a Regia 4-ply, and I believe the color is nutmeg. It's not quite as bright orange as it looks on camera, but there is a pattern by this Handmade Life. I love her sock patterns. I can't remember the name of it, but I will put it here with a picture. It's something about pumpkins, and that's what this is going to be. Mark my words. And the next thing that I really want to cast on September 1st is the Levitate wrap. If you've not seen it, I'll put a picture here. It is absolutely beautiful. Those Twins Who Knit is a podcast that I have been loving, and they're twins, if you couldn't tell by the name. One of them, I don't remember which one, just finished this wrap, and it's just beautiful. So when I was ordering a million different orders from Wool Warehouse, the second time I decided to go ahead and order yarn for this, and I knew I wanted, well, the pattern has you hold, I don't even know what weight, a DK maybe, and mohair or lace. So I found a sale on Drops Kid Silk. I think these were like $2, and I said, okay, well, I have to do it. And I figured, in a cardigan, I'm already doing a bunch of colored cardigans, let me do a neutral. So I went with brown. So I picked out this mohair. This is Drops Kid Silk. Does it tell you the color? I don't think it's gonna tell me the color on it. 35. And so then I needed to find a base yarn to match this. And we all know it is like impossible to tell true colors online. So what I ended up picking out was Drops Charisma, which is the superwash wool in color 4. And it's like a chocolate brown. I think it might have been called chocolate brown. Now, online, it looked like these two were going to go together perfect. They don't, but I think they go together well enough, and as we have seen by my ranunculus, the mohair really can transform the yarn. So I think together it's going to look beautiful, and I'm so excited for this. Like, I'm just itching to cast this on, and I'm a little nervous though because that pattern does have you do some double knitting at some point, and I've never done that, but that's how you learn. So I'm excited to try something new, and I just think it will be the perfect cardigan because it's a wrap cardigan that ties on the side, but it's pretty cropped, and I just think that would be so sweet over a dress in the winter, or even with high-waisted jeans, or it classifies as a lounge cardigan. I mean, it's beautiful. So next time I see you, hopefully this will be cast on. And yeah, that's all I have to talk about today. This lighting is doing me zero favors. My hair looks orange. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. I'm really excited about knitting. This happens when I know fall is coming. I just love fall. We live in the mountains, so fall is just absolutely breathtaking. If you've followed me for a while, you've probably seen footage from fall in our area. But it's just, if only peak fall week could last longer than a week. I mean, you have all the beautiful colors leading up to the peak week, but the peak week is just like, I feel like it's just a piece of heaven on earth. It is just beautiful. And we have this maple tree that comes right up over our porch. It's humongous. It's taller than the house, of course. And it just turns the brightest orange, and it's so pretty. Okay, the crickets are overpowering me at this point, and it is getting dark, so I will leave you here. I would love to know what your fall knitting plans are. If you have something in particular that you really want to get going for fall, let me know below. I always love to add new things to my favorites. Anyways, I'll see you next time. Happy crafting!